All right, forget everything you think you know about survival. This isn't just a book talk. We are about to begin a descent into the chilling, sightless world of Josh Malerman's Bird Box. My advice? Keep your eyes closed.
So this is it, the first and only rule, and it is absolutely non-negotiable. It controls every single second of your life in this world. This is the terrifying foundation for everything to come. You know we rely on our sight for everything, right? Well, here, your greatest sense is your greatest enemy.
Okay, so before we plunge any deeper, let's get the basic facts down. We're talking about Bird Box by Josh Malerman, which came out in 2014. And look, don't just file this under post-apocalyptic. No, this is pure psychological horror. It's a story that literally weaponizes our most basic sense, our sight. All right, let's start with the world itself. A world that's gone dark, not because the lights are out, but because looking is a death sentence. The rule book for survival, it's been torn up and rewritten in blood. The whole idea is just, it's so simple, but man, is it horrifying. There's something out there. We'll call it a creature, an entity, whatever. The point is, if you lay eyes on it, you go instantly violently insane and kill yourself, just like that. So what's the only way to survive? You guessed it, you never ever look. You live your entire life blindfolded. And this right here, this is the heart of it all. It's about radical adaptation. This is way more than just, boarding up the windows. We're talking about completely rewiring your brain. You have to learn to trust the sound of a frantic bird over your own two eyes. Just think about that. The one sense we trust more than anything else, it's now your biggest liability. But here's the thing. If you think the real monster is just outside, you're dead wrong. The real terror, it starts the second you lock that door and cover the windows. Because now, you're trapped inside. And you're not alone. This is where the whole story just shifts. That big, unseen, scary thing outside, it's just the trigger for something much, much worse inside. Because when you can't see the monster, you start to wonder if it's sitting right next to you. Look, the things outside, they're a physical threat, right? You can, in theory, avoid them by just not looking. But the paranoia, the doubt, that's a different beast entirely. It's like a poison that gets into the air inside the house. You can't escape it. It just rots everything from the inside out, turning that so-called sanctuary into an absolute pressure cooker of fear. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the real monster here? Is it the thing you're not allowed to see? Or is it the darkness that starts to grow inside all of us when we're trapped, isolated, and terrified? Okay, let's zoom in. We're going from the house to the heart. We're going to look at the most intimate and honestly, the most brutal conflict in this whole story, motherhood, and how the basic instinct to love and protect gets twisted into a weapon. Just listen to this. This isn't your typical bedtime story, is it? It's not gentle guidance. It's a command from a drill sergeant. In this world, love doesn't look like hugs or sweet words. No way. Love looks like harsh, brutal discipline because that's what keeps you alive. Obedience isn't about being a good kid. It's the only thing that separates life from death. And that's the gut-wrenching paradox of Malorie's character, right? In order to be a good mother, in order to keep her kids safe, she has to make them terrified of everything. She has to teach them to fear the world, to fear their own curiosity, to be afraid of the one thing a child wants to do: look.
So think about it. Everything we think of as nurturing, comfort, safety, exploring, it's all gone. All of it. It's replaced by its polar opposite. The new tools in the parenting toolbox are harshness and fear. It's not just a new style of parenting. It's a complete 180-degree flip of what it means to be a mother.
Okay, so now that we've felt the full weight of this nightmare, let's pull back for a second. Let's get critical. As a novel, as a journey into darkness, how well does it actually work? Well, the strengths are pretty huge. I mean, the psychological tension Malerman builds is just, you feel it in your bones. It's visceral. And that dual timeline he uses, jumping between the past and that terrifying river journey in the present, it's a brilliant way to crank up the suspense. Plus, like we just talked about, that whole take on motherhood is something that will stick with you for a long, long time.
But hey, it's not a perfect book. For a lot of readers, never finding out what the creatures actually are is a real letdown. It feels, well, vague.
And some of the side characters, you could argue they feel a little one-dimensional, almost like they're just there to stir the pot and move the plot forward.
So when you put it all together, the good and the not so good, we're landing on a final score of 6.7 out of 10. You know, it's a really powerful and creative horror idea that absolutely nails the atmosphere and the dread. It's just a little bit thin when it comes to the deep world building and character work. But a rating is just a number, right? The real power of a story like this is what it leaves you with. So for our last section, let's talk about the book's big lesson. And believe me, it's a chilling one you can apply to the real world. Here's the core idea, the big takeaway. When things get crazy and chaotic, what's our first instinct? We want to see everything, right? We want more information. Bird Box makes a pretty radical argument against that. It says that maybe, just maybe, real survival depends on the opposite, on intentionally limiting what you see, and instead learning to rely on your other senses, your gut feeling, your training, and those very, very few people you can trust when it's pitch black. And you can totally apply this to your own life, right? Think of it like a survival protocol. First, you've got the information blindfold, having the discipline to not get overwhelmed by every single headline and opinion out there. Second, you need your early warning birds. Who are your trusted advisors? The people whose warnings you actually listen to? And third, you need your blindfold protocols, your own non-negotiable rules for when things get stressful, so you're not just reacting out of fear. So if this whole descent into darkness is your kind of thing and you want more, I've got a couple of recommendations. First, you have to check out The Road by Cormac McCarthy. It's a different kind of bleak, maybe more philosophical, but has that same intense focus on a parent and child trying to survive. And then there's Station 11, which is a fascinating look at what happens after the collapse, how people try to rebuild and hold on to things like art and culture. So, if this little journey has sharpened your senses, do us a favor and hit that follow and subscribe button. We do deep dives like this all the time. Thanks for coming along with us. And remember, try not to look.